Alright, what's going on guys, it's Rest. In this video I actually want to talk about the loot situation currently that's going on in Borderlands 3 right now. There's a lot of people that actually really enjoy having these low world drop rates, and there's some people that are absolutely hating it. So in this video I just want to give my opinion on what I actually think, on top of giving suggestions to how we can fix some of the problems and keep what's good. So if you do enjoy, consider subscribing. I'm on the road to 10,000 subs and I'd love to have you on this journey. I truly appreciate it. So starting off, let's just talk about where this all started. So back when Borderlands 3 initially launched all the way up to recently, legendaries in the game dropped like candy. The world drop rate was insanely high. You could do things like Slaughter Shaft and see your whole entire mini map orange just because it's covered with legendary stars, or you could just literally go kill Skag sometimes and they would drop legendaries. Like I said, they dropped literally anywhere, and it made the feeling of actually getting a legendary go down dramatically. Obviously when you get a legendary, you want it to be this hype moment. You got this really insane weapon to drop, and it really didn't feel like that because you could potentially get legendaries every other enemy in Slaughter Shaft. Now with the release of Designer's Cut and the update that came out with that, they actually lowered the world drop rates dramatically. No longer do you see legendaries coming out everywhere in the game. It's more so just one legendary whenever you kill a boss, or depending on what boss, you might get 2, maybe 3. In Slaughter Shaft you can get around 10 legendaries if you're lucky enough. So obviously when it comes to the aspect of getting the legendary you want, that feeling is back, and checking every single legendary is back. I can't tell you the amount of times I've ran something like the Slaughter Shaft and have probably missed legendaries just because there were so many on the ground. But now it's obviously easy to check legendaries. It's actually impactful to go check legendaries now, and you're also much happier when you see one. But that does not mean that it is a good system, because if you go through a whole thing like the Guardian takedown and you only receive one legendary drop from that boss, that is not a good feeling whatsoever. So before I dive deeper into that, I want to give my opinion on what I actually think over what I just said. So I 100% do think that the world drop chance when the game launched was extremely high. I 100% believe that it needed to be lowered, but the thing is, I think it needed to be lowered in a smarter way. And I'm not saying Gearbox is dumb or anything for the way they did it, but it needs to be tuned to actually work with in-game content. So getting back to the Guardian takedown thing, or just any takedown in general, all the in-game content needs to have more drops. The world drop chance for going out and farming something like Captron, obviously farming something like Captron is an easy boss, so seeing literally 7 legendaries come out for him and killing me is not really that good of a thing. Now if you're trying to go farm a specific legendary, yes, it's very good, so you can get his specific drops. But if you're going into something like a takedown and you go all the way through, especially on like true takedown, you should be rewarded with a good amount of legendaries for the effort you put in. Now I'm not saying every single drop needs to be a legendary, because it doesn't, but it should reward you with a hefty amount, because like I said, the amount of effort you put in, and especially if you're doing something like True Guardian Takedown, the specific builds that you need to do to complete that and only receiving one legendary is kind of crazy. Now not only is this for takedowns, also things like Slaughter Shafts or even Proving Grounds. I know most people don't even realize Proving Grounds are in the game because nobody really does them, but you could actually make these also be very valuable and dropping a lot more legendaries than they already do. Now I don't think the Slaughter Shaft or any other thing like it should drop as many as they used to, but it could be substantially more than what it is now, and it actually give players a reason to go in there and farm that instead of not doing it, because they're just not going to get anything out of it with the amount of time that they spend in there. It's just not worth it. And it's not even just for specifically in-game content. It can't just be for harder bosses. Obviously specifically the raid boss, which you could consider in-game content, or just any other harder boss in the game, you could just up their drop rates, because you're taking a long time to kill them and you're trying to farm them. You should be rewarded again for farming that. So if we actually take a look at something like Diablo 3, and if you've never played Diablo 3 and don't understand what I'm talking about, I'll try to explain it. So simply, you have your greater rift rank, which is sort of their in-game activity. The lower it is, you're not going to see probably any legendaries at all to drop, but the higher it goes, you're actually going to start receiving a lot more legendaries. Obviously the more difficult the activity, the higher chance of getting a legendary or multiple legendaries increases. And obviously it seems very simple that that's the way it should be, but when you have the takedown giving you one legendary, I feel like it needs to be said. Also on top of that, in something like Diablo, they have these things called ancient promos, which specifically makes your legendaries just be absolutely top tier. It has the perfect stats and anything like that, and I think Borderlands could really benefit for something like that, to go for it, to farm something even over legendaries pearlescence, or even if they don't want to go the pearlescent routes because they don't seem they want to, they could just do something like, you know, ancient legendaries where you get perfect parts on the legendaries that already exist in the game, and even maybe something like a specific pool of anoints where they just have the best anoints on them. Literally anything like that could add more playability to the in-game activities, which are extremely lacking right now because it's just not worth the amount of time that you have to do, like I've said multiple times in this video. So overall, I just want to say, I think the change Gearbox did do to loot is a good change. Like I said, it just wasn't implemented correctly. You should be rewarded for in-game activities or harder bosses in the game way more than you currently are. And all the lower tier bosses that have specific drops should stay exactly the same as they are, and you can specifically farm them for whatever you want to farm for. And to add the cherry on top, if they brought pearlescence back or added a system like I just talked about, it would greatly increase the replayability of the end game, because even if they lowered the drop chances, a lot of people that has been playing the game all year, including myself, already has a lot of the good gear in the game, and you know, farming something other than the new items isn't even worth it, because it's just like you already have the best, so lowering it doesn't really change much other than just trying to get the new gear. But with that system, it would allow all the veteran players and even new players to get excited for something and chase after to get absolute perfect parts or get a new rarity, aka pearlescence, and it would just be so good. So that is my opinions on the whole loot situation in the game and how I think it could possibly change. Now I want to say this is not a video bashing Gearbox in any way. I really do enjoy the changes they made to the game. DLC 6 feels like you completely refreshed the game, and we'll also be talking more about how vault cards can actually completely change the way this game is, and be going more into that later. So if you guys want to see that, be sure to stick around. So again, thumbs up for the loot changes. Just implement them a little bit better, so change it up a little bit and it would be great. And also maybe throw in pearlescence, because that would make in-game farming a lot more fun as well. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.